Hi guys, I want to make you a little lesson on piecewise functions. You've dealt with piecewise functions before in your other classes. Um, I'm going to continue our lesson on Monday with listing the domains of your function. So right now I just want to take an aside and do this. Now I've already given you a lesson of finding function value. So for example, if you were given f of m is equal to 3 plus the square root of m squared minus 4. And then you were told to find f of, let's say, negative 2. Okay, you know there's only one function that you're going to substitute that in. Okay, you're going to take the negative 2, substitute into the m values. So it would be 3 plus the square root of negative 2 squared minus 4. 3 plus the square root of 4 minus 4, which is 0. So 3 plus 0 is just 3. Okay, and that's fine, and we did that the other day. Now when I want to talk to you about a piecewise function, whereas this is just one complete function, a piecewise function, okay, if you were to graph it, maybe it looks like a parabola joined up with an absolute value, joined up with a straight line. Okay, we're going to be graphing these later in the chapter. If you recall when you were first taught how to graph piecewise functions, your teacher probably told you your best friend is going to be an eraser. So let me just write out what a piecewise function looks like. And you're going to see it and say, oh yeah, I remember those. It's got that little squiggly there. And it's negative 5x squared, which on its own is a function, but it's part of a bigger function. And this only works if your x values are less than negative 6. Okay? Then we have another piece of this function. This again is one continuous function. You would graph it on a graph. And when I say continuous, it might be discontinuous. You don't know what that means yet, but you will in another few weeks. Negative 6 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 12. And then we have 1 half x to the third minus 4 if x is greater than 12. Okay, so what's important about this piecewise function is this part right here. It's telling you basically what the domain of that particular equation would be. So if your x values are less than negative 6, you're going to exist on this part of the graph. If your x values are greater than negative 6 and including it, and less than and including 12, you're going to exist on this part of the graph. And if x is greater than 12, this is the part of the graph you're going to look at. When I like to explain this in class, what I like to say to the kids is imagine you're going shopping and you have 3 different stores that you could go into. Okay, right here depends on which store you're going to shop in. What depends that? Well, how much money you have in your pocket. If you have $20 in your pocket and you're at the Freehold Mall, you might walk into maybe Poshmark. Okay, you can get something for $20 there. Okay, you're not going to walk into American Eagle, okay, because their prices are a little higher. If you had maybe $50, you're going to walk into American Eagle. So like if this was $20, you would shop here, $50, you would shop here. If you had $200, you might walk into, well, Nordstrom's is closed now, but if it was still open, you might walk in there. So that's what you have to look at. You have to look at what your x value is, what your domain is, and that's where you're going to substitute it into the equation. Whereas this one up here, there's only one equation that you can go into. Negative 2 is going to sub in there. So let me show you what I mean by this. So let's say you're given f of negative 5. This is what they want to find out. You have to look in your domain and see where you're going to find negative 5. Is negative 5 less than negative 6? Is negative 5 in between negative 6 and 12? Or is negative 5 greater than 12? Well, negative 5, ladies and gentlemen, is actually greater than negative 6. Think about a number line. Negative 5 is to the right of negative 6, but under 12. So you're going to shop in this store. So that means we're going to plug negative 5 into this equation. So it's going to be negative 5 squared plus negative 5 plus 1. This is 25 minus 5 plus 1, which is going to yield 21. Does that make sense? So the domain of your piecewise function is which equation you are going to use. Equation 1, equation 2, or equation 3. Let's try another one. Let's say you're given f of 12. Okay, well, which one of these equations are you going to go? Over here, you only use this equation if you're less than -6. You have 12 on both of these. But over here, this is equal to 12. This is greater than 12. Since you are 12, again, we're going to go into that same equation as before. 12 squared plus 12 plus 1, 144 plus 12 plus 1. This is 156 plus 1, 157. Okay, and that's how you're going to find function value when you are using a piecewise function. Again, you look at these numbers and you determine where you're going to shop. If your x is, let's do something less than -6. So let's say I want you to find f of -10. Okay, -10 is definitely to the left of -6 on the number line, so you know we're going to shop here. So it's just going to be -5, -10 squared, so this is -5 times 100, which is -500. Okay, so technically for the x value of -10, the y value would be -500. For the x value of 12, the y value would be 157. Because remember, f of x really is a fancy schmancy way of saying y. Basically what a function is whatever x is, that's going to be your input of x, your output of y. All right, so you actually could graph these points on a graph and you would start to put it together and see what the graph looks like. We're going to be doing that later on in the chapter. I can't wait to graph piecewise with you. Okay, so that was just your little mini lesson on piecewise. I am giving you homework on 2 sections, okay? On interval notation, we did this in class, not like what I say in class, in our virtual class, okay, and piecewise. Your homework can be found in your textbook. And you're saying to yourself, what textbook, Mrs. Obdyke? If you go into files, okay, there's going to be a document that gives you the web page, the username, and your password for you to access your online textbook. Okay, in your textbook for homework, I want you on page 9 to do 1, 3, 5, 8, 48, and 50. Now listen up. 1, 3, 5, 8. The directions say to do interval notation and set builder notation. I didn't show you set builder notation, so don't do it. Just do interval notation. Okay, ignore the set builder notation directions. And these 2 are some piecewise functions. Okay, I'm going to put this into your assignments, and then what you're going to do when you do your homework, you are going to just take a picture of it and load it into the assignments. I noticed there were a few people out there who typed your answers. That is so not necessary and so much more work. Okay, I want to see your work. Okay, so please show your work where it's appropriate. All right, but just do it in your handwriting. Okay, so show your work and then load it up into your teams. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. And this is due Sunday, okay, which is 9/13, my Uncle Philip's birthday, by 8 p.m. All right, have a great weekend. I'm sorry it took me so long to make this video. Bye-bye.